Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. It is Sat Chat time. I hope you're having a great weekend as always. It's been a busy week, but I'm just looking around. This room is mayhem. I did 2 live streams this week on my YouTube channel. You can find them if you. I'll try to remember to link them in the video description, but if you click on my name, my face, and it takes you to my YouTube channel, click on the live tab and it will show you the 2 live streams. But I've got piles everywhere. I got piles on the floor, I got piles on my table. I'm hoping to get this picked up before I head out this afternoon to go do some plein air painting, but it is just mayhem. But it's been a fun week, it's been a busy week. It's I don't know. I've had some on and off. Last week people were saying there was a full moon, there was a lunar eclipse, and probably Mercury was in retrograde. I don't know, but I think everybody was kind of feeling that crazy stress last week, and I definitely was. I still kind of am. I did not sleep well last night. I'm actually feeling fine now. Those live streams were awesome. They totally reinvigorated me. I streamed for 4 hours yesterday. Many of you were probably there, and we took a look at the new Derwent drawing pencils. Oh my gosh, they've expanded to 72, and I got an advanced copy, so I was so stoked. So it was like first look. There's only a few channels that actually had an advanced copy, and I was totally psyched to play with them. Actually, we did that pair in the live stream. Actually, we did these in the Wednesday live stream, and somebody, I think Heather dubbed it Whimsy Wednesday, and I loved it. We were just playing with random supplies. I had just a few random things that came in to review, and I'm like, let's just dig into them. There's water-soluble oil pastels. There was a little watercolor journal that came with watercolor paints. Played with that. Yeah, we played with all kinds of stuff. It was a lot of fun. But this right here, I'm just going to put it up to the camera a little closer. Hopefully that will focus in. I never know if it's going to focus or not. But it's not done yet. I want to do more to it, and I have some apples I want to sketch too. But boy, those pencils, so fun. I was so psyched to get to try them early. And it's also really fun to, as on the side of being like a YouTube creator, it's really fun to be one of the first people to show a new product, because you haven't had any biases other than, I mean, I had the first 24 colors they ever came out with. I've been using those for decades. But you don't have any biases. You're going in completely fresh, no external information. It's just kind of cool. It's kind of cool. There's very few things that are really new these days. It's a lot of just repackaging, or the same thing coming out under another name or another label. So when something actually is new, it's just exciting. So I made a list. Because it didn't seem like I was busy this week, but it didn't seem like I really had that much stuff to talk about during Sat Chat. So I'm like, I'm making a list. So Wednesday, before I did my Whimsy Wednesday, I like that. I think I might go with that. Thank you for the title. I like that. I had a call with the logistics folks for the Italy retreat I'm doing next month. And that was exciting. So we talked for about an hour, it was kind of like, the nuts and bolts of, of just how the week's going to go, any changes that need to be made to the itinerary, all of that. Making contingency plans if something happens here, something there. I like to have backups for backups. I'm just that type of person. But I'm also kind of a nervous traveler, so I like to plan things out. And then when I start thinking about it, then it's like, oh, okay, time to freak out. And I was thinking, I heard somewhere that the feeling of anxiety and the feeling of excitement, it's the same emotion. But it's funny because I'm excited about using those new pencils. That's very exciting. I'm very excited about that. I'm excited. I get excited about public speaking. I get excited about those things. That might make somebody anxious, but getting on a plane, that's anxiety. And then I was thinking that, maybe anxiety is excitement with just bad PR, could that be it? And I was like, oh, I need to write that down because I thought that was funny. Yeah, there's regular comedian over here, but I'm like, yeah, that might be it. So I'm trying to reframe my brain anytime I'm feeling anxious about something to be like, no, you're excited, but you just need to reframe it. I don't know. Maybe that's helpful. Maybe it's not. But so I'm talking to so we have the folks from UpTrek that are running the European retreats that I do, and I am looking into doing some coastal Maine retreats. I just need to have a little time to suss that all out. But but for the European ones, I go through Uptrek. And so the person from Uptrek, I had the host, the hotelier, or the person that owns the place we'll be staying, the resort we'll be staying at. And then we have the local guide, who will be kind of our chaperone when we're going into the different excursions and whatnot. So we'll have somebody looking after us that knows all about the area, so we see the best stuff and whatnot. And so I am also planning the Greece retreat, right? That's next year. And my wires were totally crossed. And so we're talking about the excursions. I'm like, oh, so is that where we go to and see the shipwreck? And the local guide's looking at me like I have two heads, like, what, a shipwreck? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to the shipwreck beach, right? And they're both looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I am for certain that we are going to see a shipwreck on this trip. And then it just like occurs to me, oh, never mind, that's Greece. Sorry. But that's I guess I kind of had Greece on the brain because I'm thinking about like the white sandy beaches and the sun, and we're kind of starting to drift into fall, and summer's my favorite season. I love warm weather. I love, you know, kind of like warm tropical climates, and so I guess I had Greece on the brain when I'm talking about Italy, and I'm kind of thinking, man, Lindsay, you need to rest your brain a little bit or something. But anyways, that was kind of fun. There are spots open I think we have 9 spots available in Greece for 2026. It's in May. If anybody's interested, I will have a link in the video description. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, with all the European retreats, they cater to your dietary needs. If you have any dietary needs, you can let them know. They are in beautiful locales. You're really taken care of there from Uptrek. You don't have to find things to do because there's plenty to do, plenty of instruction for the art. I'm really looking forward to painting in these different locations, seeing these different cities. I'm such a country mouse, so I get a little nervous, a little anxious about traveling, but it's so nice when you go, for me anyway, someone who's kind of a nervous traveler, it's nice to go and have somebody making sure you see the good stuff and taking care of you and making sure that, you know, you're where you're supposed to be. You're not wandering off into some, you know, sketchy area. I don't know. And plus painting, go and paint for a week. And that's the only thing, that's your job. Your job on these retreats is just to go paint for a week. And I mean, my job is to teach you and help you paint for a week and help you, you know, set your intentions and meet your goals while you're away. But you don't have to worry about cooking. You don't have to worry about cleaning. You don't have to worry about taking care of anybody else but yourself. I think it's something that we all need every once in a while. And I get so excited because I get to meet you guys. And this Italy retreat is going to be really fun because there are some folks from the France retreat coming. And everyone's going along so well. And then I've got some new friends. So people that have been friends from the channel, just like I know through comments, I know from seeing their teeny tiny little avatar picture and seeing their username. And it's so cool when you kind of put a real face to the name and you get to know people. And I just love people. So, yeah, I'm excited, but that excitement kind of leaches over to a little bit of like, what if my luggage gets lost? That was one thing I was worried about. I was worried about my luggage getting lost. And so I asked them, and they said, you're going to be getting in like 3 days early because we're going to try to do some sightseeing. We're going to do some sightseeing. We're not going to try. We are going to do some sightseeing around Florence. And he goes, well, if your luggage gets lost, they can send it on to the resort. It'll probably get there before you. If you got lost, you'll probably get to the resort before you did. So so that really eased my fear. That was one big fear I have because it is kind of difficult to source certain materials, and I just want to make sure we had everything we needed. So I'm bringing a lot of the stuff. But then it's like, oh my gosh, if it gets lost, then, but I forgot that I was going a few days earlier because when we went to France, we landed on the day we needed to get there, and we left the day after the retreat was over, and I crashed so hard after the France retreat. And at one point I was gonna do 2 weeks back to back, but I had trouble filling that second week, so we just we canceled the second week for France because it was kind of like a last minute cancellation of somebody that had a retreat that week and they couldn't fill it, and so they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I'm like, I'll try to fill it, but I couldn't fill it. But I'm like, man, I don't think I could have done 2 weeks in a row. My voice was toast on that last day. And honestly, yesterday after streaming for 3 hours and 45 minutes, my throat was pretty raw, and I had a sore throat all night, and I was like, oh, I gotta get myself acclimated to talking so much, because that does take a toll on your voice when you're teaching, especially when you're projecting so people can hear you. But I found out in Italy, because I was talking with the host, they actually have microphone, projector, and projection screen. So that is going to be, so that was my biggest concern. I wanted to make sure that I could do some demoing and everyone could see me and not have to come to my table, remember it, go back to their area, put it into practice. I wanted people to be able to see me in real time as I was doing it. So I didn't think I was going to have that, because that's something we talked about, and they thought, oh yeah, we could do it. And I was like, oh, I don't think we're going to have that ready yet, but they have it. They already have it there. So I hope it works well. I mean, no matter what, we're going to have a great time, but I'm just like, okay. And it's just, I just want to like, backups for backups for backups. I like backups for backups for backups, especially when people are paying good money to do something. So I don't want anyone to leave disappointed, and I don't think anyone will be, especially the people that I know that are going, that came to the last retreat, are just so warm and open and welcoming, and I know the new folks will just get enveloped into the fold seamlessly, and yeah. Nobody will be left behind or straggling. Everyone's gonna have brand new friends by the end of the week. It's gonna be so much fun. So yeah, I'm just looking around at my mayhem, trying not to get distracted. Oh my gosh, it's been a fun week. The thing I was stressed about last week is still ongoing. Basically, it was nothing like health related or anything serious like that, but it was serious in the fact that I've been waiting for payment on a job I did a month and a half ago, and it was transferred to me, but I guess a number got mixed around at some point, and it got returned back to the client. So it's just kind of like it's been a week of like tracking down, trying to trace a wire transfer and then find it and then figure out where it went and then get it back credited to me. It's just kind of stressful, and it's like I hate having to have money stuff in my brain, because I just want to do the creative stuff. But when you have your own business, like as an artist, chances are you don't have any employees, because artists only make so much. So you are the accountant, the bookkeeper, the creative director, the COO. I don't even know what the CFO, CO, I don't even know what those people do, but that's what you have to do it. Whatever that is, you're doing it. Nobody else is doing it. So keeping all of that in your brain, keeping all the hamsters running on their wheels all the time, keeping all the plates spinning in the air can just be a lot sometimes. And I think that's why I didn't sleep very well last night. I woke up at 2 and I couldn't fall back asleep. And my throat was kind of sore, and so finally I got up and I made a hot cup of decaf tea and I watched some YouTube, and then I was finally fell asleep around 4. The cat woke me up at 5, because when I get up in the morning, I give her one of those like little treats. They're those, have you seen those? They're like a tube of like a cat treat. It's like this puree treat thing. Oh my gosh, my cat is like a junkie. And I started off this bad habit of when I get up in the morning, I turn on my coffee maker and I put some in, I take one of the tubes and I squeeze it out into a bowl, or if both the cats are there, I'll divide it up between 2 bowls. And, but since the cat knew I was downstairs on the couch, because I didn't want to wake Jason up, the cat was just started meowing, meowing, meowing. I'm like, oh, so I got up and I gave the cat a treat and went back to sleep until probably about 6, and then the bowl, their dry food bowl was empty, so I had to feed the cat the dry food. Then I went back to sleep again, and then the dog was like, it was probably almost 8 o'clock, and then the dog was, I'm usually up around 6, but I had that 2-hour gap where I couldn't sleep. Then the dog was saying, okay, time to get this show on the road, I want to be walked. And oh boy, it was slow going. And it's like I knew yesterday that I was gonna have a rough morning, because when I set the coffee maker up last night, I've cut back so that I have one big cup of coffee, one big bowl of coffee in the morning. I used to have 2 big bowls of coffee, but last night I was setting up the coffee maker. I'm like, I have a feeling I'm gonna need a little extra oomph to get through the day tomorrow. So I did my 2 bowls of coffee worth of coffee. So glad I did. I've had them both today. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. I probably got enough sleep. It's just I don't like having my sleep broken up. I mean, who does? Nobody does. Oh, you know what I think was bothering me? I found out last night Jason was looking over our itinerary for our flights and stuff for Italy, and we have a 12-hour layover in New York City right before an hour and a half flight back to Maine. It's like, oh, Kidding me. And I don't know how we didn't catch that. I guess we thought we had a 45-minute layover. No, we had a 12-hour and 45-minute layover. We got our little AMs and PMs mixed up apparently. And so I'm like, oh no. And Jason's like, well, we could get a hotel. It's like, I don't want to leave the airport at that point. I'm just like, I'm just going to want to get home. I'm not going to want to spend any more money. I'm just going to want to, and not miss a flight, not have to go through security, not have to do all of that. So I don't know. I'm hoping to have like pods or something you can rent at the airport, or I don't know, maybe I'll just sleep in the terminal. Honestly, I'm not fancy. I could curl up in a chair and probably conk out if it's midnight. You know, I've been traveling all day for, yeah, I probably will have no problem whatsoever just conking out in the terminal. But it's in the middle of the night. It's not like 12 hours you're going to go do sightseeing or anything. And I've been to New York a couple times, and it's fine. It's a beautiful city. I have no desire to wander around it. And not like the airport's near anything that you would really go see. I'm going to be done traveling by then. I'm going to be ready to be home. This country mouse will be ready to curl up under a quilt with a cup of tea and a book by that time. I will be peopled out, and I will be traveled out, and I will just probably need to hermit for a few days. But yeah, so I think because of that, I was just thinking about how tired we were coming back from France, and we did get a hotel because it was right at it worked out perfectly. It was right at the airport in Toulouse. We got a hotel. I crashed hard. I was worried I had come down with COVID or something because my throat was just raw, but it was just talking. It was just from talking nonstop for a week. I have like no sense of just when to, when you're having fun, you don't want to stop, right? Yeah, it's like, you need to rest your voice, And I'm like, no, I'm going to power through. Viva la day, whatever. What do you say? Viva la, I don't know. Viva Las Vegas, I don't know. Viva la France, I don't know. I was having a good time. And I didn't want to slow down, and I didn't want to stop, and I didn't want to miss a bit. So yeah, I was pretty rough by the end of that. And yeah, we got to the hotel, crashed, got up, got on the plane, and it was an early flight. Didn't occur to me, I don't know why this didn't occur to me. We're flying out at 3 p.m. Of course, it's not going to be like we're flying out at like 6 a.m. when we came home. And coming home, I was so tired. We flew into Boston, took a bus from Boston to Bangor, and I strapped myself into the seatbelt on the bus, and I was like sleeping, sitting up. I was so tired. So yeah, it's going to be a rough trip back, but it's 12 hours, big deal, big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. So, but I did worry about it last night. I couldn't, sometimes, you try not to think about something that's all your brain wants to think about. It's so annoying. It's like, it's too bad you couldn't just be like, Control Alt Delete and find that little worry in your little stream of processes in your brain and just end task. Wouldn't that be great if we could just do that and just like end those little tasks in our brain? Speaking of brains and interesting things, I'm reading the book The Every, and it's a sequel to the book The Circle by Dave Eggers. I read that book a few years ago. I really enjoyed it, and there was also a movie, and I watched the movie, but I couldn't remember that much about it, just that I really enjoyed it. And I remember it being something kind of like, it was kind of about like big tech, and it was very closely based on like Google. And I didn't know there was a sequel, and there is. I heard another YouTuber talking about having a book review of that. I'm like, oh, that sounds like something I want to read. So I checked it out from the library, and I started reading it, and they were kind of alluding to some stuff from the first book. The person that was reviewing it, I don't think read the first book and said you didn't need to read the first book, but I'm like, I think I want a refresher. Do you guys know about Tubi? Just a brief aside, it is a free streaming service. You can watch it on your computer, you can watch it on your phone. It's got like an app. You can watch it on your smart TV. Like we have a smart TV with like an Xbox hooked to it, and we watch it through that. But anyway, it's totally free. There's ads on the stuff, but it's not like obnoxiously a lot of ads. The Portrait Artist of the Year is on Tubi for free. Anyway, so that movie was on Tubi, so I watched it just to kind of get my refresh my memory about what the story was, and I'm really enjoying it. But it is definitely. It's definitely giving a lot of insight into some of the tech that's out there, and I'm sure it's a work of fiction, but I think it's based on true technology and stuff like that. Basically, it's this woman that's kind of going undercover and trying to take down this big conglomerate. And so if the first book, The Circle, was kind of like about this big company very similar to Google, the second book, The Every, is like this, it's kind of like this big company, the big Google-like company gobbled up Amazon. And so it's like this big behemoth of a company, and all of the tech stuff they're doing and how it's affecting all the people that work there. And it's just very of the time. And it was funny because I also read Parable of the Sower a couple weeks ago, and I started a Parable of the Talents, but I haven't gotten that far, honestly. I listened to the audiobook of Parable of the Sower, and it was so good. The person reading it was excellent. And that also felt very of the time, but in kind of like this dystopian way where everything went kind of everything fell apart. The Every is kind of like this dystopian future, or almost present, where things are kind of going the way they are now. It's very interesting. I like sci-fi. It's so weird for somebody that suffers from being kind of high strung. I don't want to say suffers from anxiety, but suffers from being just a very high strung person in general. That I like to read these dystopian fiction novels. I don't know. I just find them enjoyable. I also just started today Atomic Habits by is it Josh Clear? Last name is Clear, John Clear. I don't know. Atomic Habits, a very popular book. I've been meaning to read it. It just came up. I've had it on hold, the audiobook on hold for my local library. It came up, so I downloaded that and I started listening to that in my walk this morning. I took the dog for a nice long walk because she had to wait. We had to go, she was I was late taking her. But it was good. It was good. It was good to just get out, breathe the air, the fresh air. It's nice blue skies, beautiful day. And I'm really excited to get back out in the nature, in the beautiful sunshine this afternoon too. Oh my goodness, I think I actually got through everything on my list. I didn't have a lot on my list, but yeah, those streams were so fun. And I think like I mentioned earlier, I feel like I need to put like a book recommendation list in the video description. I'll try to remember to do that because we've talked about a lot of books today. But was it 2 weeks ago, I think I recommended a book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressman, and it's a short book. I downloaded it, I borrowed it from my library, I read it. It didn't take that long to read. There's probably an audiobook version, but and that wouldn't be very long, I can't imagine, because the reading book wasn't very long. But it basically talks about, it's for any creative, whether you're a painter, a writer, a musician, whatever. It talks about just avoiding procrastination, fighting this invisible force he calls the resistance, the thing that's keeping you from doing the thing that's going to be meaningful in your life. Maybe that's painting, maybe that's writing music, maybe that's working with some charitable organization or volunteering or whatever it is. The resistance will come in and try to thwart you. And it was just a really interesting read. And something it talked about was the difference between what we know in our true heart of hearts to be important, like in our, and they call that the self, right? What we know is important, like the work that we do, not the monetary work, not the work that we doing for accolades, but the work that really feels important to us, the things that are really important to us, not like commercial things, not materialistic things, but the stuff that's really important to us. And then you have the ego, and the ego is kind of floating around the self. It's external. It's kind of like you might take on, let's say for instance, sometimes I think, oh, by this stage of my career, I should have written a book. And I really don't want to write a book, but I would like to have written a book. I feel like I should, and that's all my ego. That's my ego saying you should have a book because you should write a book so you can have your name on a book and say you wrote a book, and that could be, that would give you some clout. That's all an ego thing. Me personally, I like to paint. I like to play with materials. I like to make videos. I like to share with people. I like to connect with people. I like to teach people. Even though, it would be, I would have more, my ego would be happier if I had paintings in galleries selling for thousands of dollars, if I had a book, if I had, I don't know, so kind of like doing the retreats. I do enjoy doing the retreats, but I know that's definitely a balance between myself and my ego. Yes, I love to get out and meet and reach and teach people. My ego's like, ooh, European retreat teacher, that sounds good on the old resume. You know what I mean? So I think the ego says yes to a lot of things, and sometimes it's in conflict, I think, with what we want to be doing in our own true self. Now, would I turn down a book deal if it was offered? Oh no. Oh, I would not. I would not turn it down. I know my ego is like the want monster, and it would badger the self and be like, oh yes, we're doing that. And then I may be having, I may be having regrets, and I may rue the day I ever said yes. But, the ego would be like, oh yes, we're signing. The ego would sign on that dotted line. You know what I mean? It's just it's kind of interesting. But if you do too many things that are just in relation to what the ego wants, then you'll feel very unfulfilled, and, you won't want to do the work that you should be doing. And something else I talked about is the difference between being a professional and being an amateur. And it says a professional will show up and do the work regardless. Just like you have a job that you do for money. You show up and you do that job whether you want to go or not. You probably, most days you don't want to go. You'd rather be doing a million other things, but you go and do it because that's your profession. You're doing that. That's your profession. That's your work. You show up, you do the job, you get paid. And a lot of times, like with art and music and writing and things like that, if you're not doing it for a career, you could put it off. You're like, I don't really feel like it today. I'm not feeling inspired. But if you're a professional, then you show up and you do it. You'll find the inspiration once you're sitting down. One author said that when asked, does he only write when he's inspired? He says, yes, I only write when I'm inspired, but luckily I'm inspired at 9 a.m. every morning. It's just kind of like you have built those systems and those habits, and then the inspiration kind of flows in, or the muse kind of takes over and helps you get out what's within you to share with the world. Anyway, and then that kind of also dovetails into the atomic habits that I just started today. And they're talking about goals will fail you, but systems won't. So you set up systems so that you improve like 1% every day. And as long as you stick to the systems, you will improve. If you set a goal and then you get frustrated, you haven't hit your goal in a month, which I've done so many times, then, you'll just give up. But if you set systems, like instead of saying, instead of saying, I'm going to have a book deal within a year, if that's your goal, instead saying, I'm going to write a blog post every day, or I'm going to write 3 pages every day, or, you could and by the end of the year, you would have a book if you followed the systems. But if you just had the goal to have a book deal, you could just be like reaching out to publishers all the time, trying to find, somebody that wants to work with you. And then you get frustrated if nobody bites, and then you have nothing at the end of the year. At the end of the year, if you had systems in place, you would have a book all written. Then it would be like, well, you could find a publisher, you could self-publish it, you could do it if that was your goal. So I like that, the emphasis on systems. And I feel like I do that for the most part, because it's like, you get up and you do your routine, and you treat everything with a measured amount of responsibility. And but it's just always good to hear things that reinforce good habits as well, I think. I'm going to do, when I go to plein air, I don't think I mentioned this, I'm going to do marker work. I'm going to try doing some marker plein air this afternoon. I'm really excited. I did this artwork in marker. This is going to come out probably in October sometime, but I like the way it came out. But the markers I was using had this soft chisel tip, and I was thinking, this is not the best subject for that. I think a landscape would be a better subject, and that had a bunch of other unrelated techniques, so that's going to be its own video later. But I kind of like how it came out. But I'm also excited to take those soft chisel nibs outside and do some plein air marker work. I hope it goes well. Either way, it'll be fun. I'll be outside. I'll enjoy it. I'll be filming it, which is unusual for me to do plein air, but wish me luck. That's all I have for this week. I hope you are having a great weekend and you get some artsy creative time in. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye!